Hello and welcome once again. Thank you for tuning back in to the second part of 3 parts of the finale of my Super Halloween special. Wonder Pig says, "Cheese, it ain't Halloween, it's November." While that might be true, I believe, for one, that the spirit of Halloween is with us always. Which segues nicely into Planet Cable saying, "It's always Halloween." Thank you, Planet, for sharing my vision. If we try hard enough, we can make it like Halloween all the time. Anyway, I've got something of a peculiar thing to try out today. Always Christmas for me. I suppose I can get behind that, Kitty Twinkie. I am going to give myself 5 minutes to write a spooky story. A spooky campfire type story. And I'm going to write 5 of them. It's going to be an interesting one. And then I shall read them in as spooky as an atmosphere as I can possibly manage. I actually went to the effort to make a nice little reading background. So that should be very immersive. Anyhow, round 1 is simple. I have pulled up a website called randomlists.com. And randomlists.com has ever so helpfully got a list of random phobias. And they have a little randomizer that allows you to select a random phobia at the click of a button. So for round 1, if I make this a series, then I'm going to refer to it as Writing Rush, because I like the sound of that. So for round 1 of Writing Rush, let me just scoot Jody's name over there a little bit. For round 1 of Writing Rush, I'm going to generate a random phobia, and then write a story in 5 minutes, or less, involving that phobia. Playing to it in some way. Should be exciting. So, if everything's ready, and it looks like it is... I'm going to hit a random phobia, and then I'll have 5 minutes to write a spooky campfire story about it. Here we go. Ooh, that's an interesting one. Radiophobia. Fear of radioactivity or X-rays. Here we go. time! Alright. My hands are off. Trypophobia, the ground. Oh, I get it. Trypophobia is the fear of the ground. Because when you trip, you have to... Anyway. It's a stupid joke. Anyway. Alright, if I pull this up on the side, I should be able to see it okay. And still... Is that not the fear of holes? Trypophobia, the ground. Is that not the fear of holes? I'm pretty sure trypophobia is the fear of holes. Why did you mention the ground then? Kitty Twinkie says, I too fear the ground. It's why I prefer to not leave my bed. Alright. It worked. Okay. There we go. I have made what I believe to be a properly atmospheric location to be reading this spooky story in. Oh, I should have made a little campfire to sit around. Oh well. I like this too. Alright, allow me to read you my story about the fear of radiology. It was a calm, cool night like any other. But for Clyde, it would soon become his worst nightmare. Having to stay late in a ward he was unfamiliar with to clean up after some sort of accident was bad enough. But the doctors demeaning him added fuel to the fire of his rage. Unfortunately, some sort of surge in the X-ray equipment had caused a local power outage, and a large number of supplies were destroyed in the ensuing chaos. Clyde murmured to himself as he swept up the broken glass. Dumb doctors! Won't even recognize how much of a hassle they're putting me through. It's always, clean the stained operating room floor, Clyde, or find the breaker and turn the power back on, Clyde. Never, let's go out for ice cream sometime, Clyde. Why do I have to stay up late to do this crud? His sweeping came to a stop when his broom bumped something long and black. Ah, the cord. So you're the cause of the trouble. Clyde traced it back to the wall in the dark, and along the length he found the main breaker. As he switched it on, though, he realized the X-ray equipment had never been turned off, and the sudden intense glow coming from the machine was the last thing he saw. The next janitor had to clean a black smudge off the wall. Why do I have to stay up late to do this crud? Alright. I realize I never updated the rules. Whoops. Yeah, let me... That one. Nope, not that. Properties. Current prompt for the story must involve... radiophobia. Fear of radiology. There. So it'll look like that, except not like that, There. I need to adjust that. Center it. There we go. Okay. Except it's not going to be quite like that anymore. Kitty Twinkie says, let's go out for ice cream, Clyde. Hype. I'm afraid it's a little bit too late for Clyde. Okay, so what does the esteemed panel of judges rate that story on a scale from 1 to 10? Did it adequately invoke radiophobia, the fear of radioactivity or X-rays? Professor Duat says 6. All right, I'll take a 6. Okay, it seems like whenever I update the text on this thing, it likes to shift around. I tried, Clyde, I tried, says Kitty Twinkie. I'm sure Clyde would appreciate it if Clyde was still with us. I don't know, don't have that fear. That's a good point. I suppose that might make it a little difficult to judge. Something to consider, perhaps. All right, round 2. Round 2 is going to be a bit different. I'd like more time on the timer, but I don't think I will allow it myself. I said 5 minutes. I'm going to keep it as 5 minutes. I think perhaps there was more that I could have done with the story if I had a bit more time to write it, but I guess that's where the challenge comes from. I have to make sure to get all of the good bits in. So, I have here a random word generator. I've set it to generate words that are under a certain number of syllables, so I don't get something like some big scientific name. Hopefully. Hopefully I'll get something that's generally recognizable in terms of words. But I've set it to generate 3 words for me. Excuse me, goodness. I perhaps was drinking my water too fast. I've set it to generate 3 words for me, and when I generate the words, I'm going to have to use all 3 of them in the final product of the story, and if I don't, I expect you to dock me points. All right. Generate random words. Rebel, flag, and chin. All right. Ah. All right. Current prompt for the story must include the words rebel, flag, and chin. I'm going to give myself 5 minutes on the clock. All right. Here goes nothing. 3, 2, 1, go. All right, time's up. Okay. All right, that one was a little rougher. I had a little bit of luck with Rebel and Flag, I think. I had a theme that I got to lean into a little bit. All right. All right. Ooh. Here we go. Jessie stood atop the twisted tower of junk and surveyed her rebel camp. We're doing our best out there, she said to herself between draughts of a smoke. But there's only so much we can do for the remainders of humanity. She rubs her chin in thought and dangles her legs off the tower. It's hard, she ruminates, leading a resistance against a legion of darkness. Though if it were easy, I suppose we would never have had this problem. She downs something from a bottle. She doesn't know what it is, just that it's strong, and stands up. Well, the time for our next assault is almost at hand. I had best get the troops ready. She turns, and that's when she sees it. A dark shape flitting through the corner of her vision. She spins around, already on high alert. This is what she's trained for. No! Our encampment! They can't have found us here! Not now! Not when we're so close! She scans the horizon but spots no sign of the demonic intruder. Curse you! I know you're out there! Jessie turns, and only then notices the silhouette against her legion's flag in the moonlight. The monster bursts out from behind it and tackles Jessie, causing them both to hurtle off the side of the tower. The camp fell that night. All right. That should satisfy all the conditions. What are we thinking for a rating? From 1 to 10. How spooky was that spooky campfire story? Professor Duat says that one was an 8 out of 10. All right. Sounds like a good rating to me. Thank you. Thank you. Delivery on the last line was off? Okay. I wasn't exactly sure how to end it, and I was running out of time, so I understand. I thought it was sort of... To be fair, I have very high standards, says Professor Duat, but you gave it an 8. If you have high standards, but you gave it an 8, then I suppose I'm very grateful. All right. So, round 3. I have opened ChatGPT, and I've given it a bit of information to work with. I told it that I wanted a setting, a protagonist, and a threat for a spooky story. And I wanted it to give me a random thing for each of those 3 things. So with a little bit of training, and a little bit of testing, I managed to come up with two things that ChatGPT can do for me. I can give it the instruction go, and then it will give me a sort of a coherent theme for a protagonist, a threat, and a location or a setting. Or I can give it the command go crazy, and it will give me, hopefully, a completely unrelated protagonist, setting, and threat. That was just a little something that I came up with as an afterthought, actually, based on the testing. But I'm going to have two more rounds, round 3 and round 4, where I ask it for a coherent theme for each of those things, and for round 4, a kind of a crazy theme for each of those things, an incoherent thing. So let's change this. Chat GPT gives the prompt. I don't like how that is offsetting that. I wonder, can I lock it and still change it without it getting all wacky? Yada. I can. Yeah, that's not changing its location. I wonder why that was doing that. All right. Okay. ChatGPT, give me your worst. What is your protagonist, your setting, and your threat? Okay. Oh, boy. This is interesting. A sleep-deprived beekeeper. It's already going off. Okay. Oh, that's weird. Why is it doing that? Sleep-deprived beekeeper. In an abandoned amusement park with the threat of possessed carousel horses. I can't type today. Possessed. Goodness. I'm gonna cut out that little line there. There we go. Sleep-deprived beekeeper in an abandoned amusement park with possessed carousel horses. Okay. 3, 2, 1, go. We just saw this movie trailer at FNAF starring Jason Statham. Oh, no. Is that so? Okay, I was about to type something more. You shouldn't have it. You shouldn't have it come up with a monster that ruins the suspense. That's a good point, Professor Duant. Um. Hmm. Well, I kind of already put all of the training into the thing. Maybe I can get it to give me a prompt, but without the monster. Or just don't show us. Ooh, that's a good point. All right. I'll have it generate a monster, but I won't tell you what it is until after the fact. I will tell you the protagonist of... I will tell you... Well, no, actually, I don't have to. I'll just type in ChatGPT gives the prompt, and then after the fact, I'll tell you what the prompt was. That seems reasonable. All right. This one, I feel like, was definitely a little weaker than the other ones. Probably the weakest one so far. All right. Carl, the apiarist, clasps a hand to his mouth to cut off a scream as he hugs the loose flap of the carnival stall behind him. He can see the shadow moving across the fairway towards him, slowly, stiffly, with a long, drawn-out creak. He stumbles backward and slips through a small flap into the booth. It's some sort of game, a ring toss or something of that sort, stocked with oversized plush toys. They're rancid and torn, but Carl can put up with a bit of mildew if it means escaping the horrid creature. Oh, no, 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 he mutters to himself. Why did he ever leave his precious hives? For what, in search of a honey candy recipe he didn't even know would still be here? Now he's being hunted by some sort of malevolent spirits. He slowly stills his breath and looks around. He needs to focus if he is to get out of this alive and back to his precious bees. A pile of rotting wood catches his attention. That's it! He'll create a smoke screen to escape. But as he moves to collect the wood and try to start a fire, he hears a terrifying clunk from behind. He turns and stares upward, seeing nothing but the plushes, until a ferocious carved grimace bursts through the prizes and leers at him. That one, I don't think was so good. Go ahead and be brutal. You can put up the locale and protagonist, but just don't show the monster until the end. Actually, I don't think I'll do any of them. I'll reveal them after the fact. I'll just type them in after the fact. Darth Mathis says, I want to know what the honey recipe was. That's a good question. It was for... I said it was for honey candy. I didn't really describe anything else about it. My timer isn't working. Why is that? There we go. What is stopping this from activating? Something is up. Always on top. Yeah. 5 minutes, okay. Hotkeys. Correct. Ah, there we go. I'm not sure what happened. All right. Darth Mathis wants to know what the honey recipe was. I'm thinking if it was anything, it would probably be just some sort of flavored honey sticks. But I didn't get to write it in the story, so you probably under most rule sets you would not be able to include that in any form in your overall judgment. Anyway. ChatGPT gives the prompt. And once again, I've managed to get it offset in a weird way, and I don't know what's doing that. 4 out of 10, no honey. Okay. I will accept that judgment. I am ashamed, Darth Mathis. I have not worked enough honey into the overall story. You are right to call me out on it. Alright, so, next prompt is hopefully completely unrelated location, threat, and protagonist. Let me set up my writing note document again so that I can write this easily enough. Alright, gonna interrupt the song to take it back to this one. Alright, ChatGPT, go crazy. That's interesting. Alright, okay. I guess I can do my best to work with that. I'm actually gonna pull that up just so that we can be sure that I will remember it because it's so absurd. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. I have never read a horror story about this sort of genre before, so I'm not sure how to play this. Okay. Okay, I think I just barely managed to get all aspects of the prompt in. Right at the 5-minute mark. It's right at the end. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay. This is weird. This is really weird, so bear with me. I did my best to make it as spooky as I could. Art the duck squeaks in dismay at the empty dryer. He was absolutely positive that, after weeks on weeks of losing his precious socks, he'd finally get a matching pair if he put nothing through the load but dozens and dozens of socks. It's hard for a rubber duck to sleep comfortably when all his socks are missing. What could possibly be the cause? He was about to give up hope when he saw a long, tangled thread stuck to the dryer door, leading out the window. He crawls through, squeaking as he does so, because that's what rubber ducks generally do. It's dark out already around this time of the year, but that won't stop Art from finding whatever sock thief would stoop so low as to steal every last one of his socks. He stumbles out of his yard into the dark mushroomy woods, a forest of enormous, spore-filled mushroom trees. The unraveled thread takes him deeper and deeper into the darkness and danger, and he only stops cold in his tracks when a puff of spores alerts him to movement in the trees above him. In a clearing ahead, suddenly a bright light beams down, and two foreign shapes, carrying what looks like a pile of socks, are beamed up into something above. Carl saw aliens that night. Okay, so how do I? Not the duck socks, says Darth Mathis. How do I say this even exactly? ChatGPT's prompt. The protagonist was a sentient rubber duck. The setting had to be under a giant mushroom. And the threat had to be time-traveling, sock-stealing aliens. I don't think I really worked in the whole time-traveling aspect very well. That's quite the prompt. Yeah, it was. That's about my reaction when I first saw that. Still, though, I don't think I worked in the whole time-traveling aspect well enough. So, I suppose you'll have to consider that in your final judgment of the writing and delivery of that spooky story. It's stressful writing a scary story in less than 5 minutes. There's so much that it feels like you could put into the story. But I wanted to write short, spooky stories, so 5 minutes it is. So, for the final round, pretty good given the circumstances, 7 out of 10, too many duck socks. I think generally the problem that the protagonist had was that there were not enough duck socks. Anyway, thanks for the what I feel like is probably a generous 7 out of 10. Oh, not enough pears. Okay. Well, I suppose, considering the prompt being sock-stealing aliens, that would be apparent. Anyway, for the final round, instead of ChatGPT giving the prompt, Chat gives the prompt. I am going to be relying on the good folks in Twitch chat. Wonderpig says, "What's this? What are you doing?" I have been, for the last hour, apparently. Goodness, I've been live for an hour. I think what are you doing? Is this a bomb? It is not an explosive sort of bomb. Professor Duat says, "Good folks," in quotation marks. Thanks, Professor Duat. It is not a bomb. It is a writing rush. I have been getting prompts for spooky stories for the last about an hour, and each time I've had 5 minutes to write one out, and then I read it dramatically. Wonder Pig says, "Me explaining to the TSA." No, it's not a bomb, I swear. Anyway, yeah, chat, you have to give me a phobia, 3 words to include in the story, and a protagonist, since giving me the threat of the story does kind of give the game away a little bit. So, Wonderpig says phasmophobia, cheese balls, jerky, and what else? Okay, so the plan is instead of just leaving it up to chat to do anything, I am going to generate 4 options for the fear, well, I suppose not 4 options, but rather 12 options for the words, and 4 options for the protagonist. And then I'm going to give you a means to vote on which of the resulting words must be included, which of the resulting phobia has to be used, and which of the resulting protagonists I have to utilize. Actually, instead of 4, let's do 3. I will generate 3 random phobias, and you will get to vote on which one I'll have to utilize. All right. The first one is scopophobia, the fear of being looked at. The second one is xylophobia, a fear of trees, forests, or wood. And the third one is arachnophobia. Everyone should know that one, a fear of spiders. It looks like Wonderpig has already cast a vote because that was that was what they said in chat a second ago. Okay, Wonderpig votes 2. That's 1 vote for trees. A fear of trees. Darth Mathis votes 1. Professor Duat votes 2. That's 2 votes for trees to 1 vote for a fear of being looked at. If anyone else in chat has a vote pipe up now? All right. Is the lore? I suppose it would be by now. I imagine most. I imagine most Dr. Seuss books would be translated into other languages. That's an interesting question, though. Random word generator. Let's generate 9 words. Actually, let's generate 6 words, and then I'll have you vote on 2. All right, your options are nerve, science, linen, vague, detail, and troop. I will send those into the chat so that you can observe them as you deliberate. Nerve, science, linen, vague, detail, and troop. Wonder Pig already votes for 2 and 6. Darth Mathis votes for 1 and 4. I don't actually know how I'm going to deal with it if everyone votes for separate words. Professor Duat, you might just be the tiebreaker here. I've already generated 3 protagonists in ChatGPT, and I will present them when this vote concludes. If it doesn't have a clear set of winners, I might have to include 1, 2, 4, and 6. That would be nerve, science, vague, and troop. Could flip a coin. Do all of them that have been voted. That's what I was. That's what I was thinking I might have to do. I didn't think this through quite well enough. Tell you what, those are the ones you selected. I will now roll 2 4-sided dice to determine which of those 4 I'm going to use. All right, the results were The results were 6 and 1. That is to say, I listed them in the order that they were voted for, and then I rolled the d4 to determine which of that list would get used. So, troop and nerve are the required words. Nerve troop. All right. Now, the last thing to vote on. ChatGPT has provided me with the following possible protagonists: a tap dancing vampire, a singing banana, or a talking cheeseburger. Thank you, ChatGPT, for your fascinating contributions, as is to be expected. So to reiterate, your options are for a tap dancing vampire. Darth Mathis already votes for one. A singing banana or talking cheeseburger. Wonderpig says, I vote whatever Darth does. All right, that's an excellent way to serve as a tiebreaker. Sounds good. The protagonist will be a tap dancing vampire. Goodness gracious. I couldn't have gotten something normal. All right. Dancing dinosaur emoji. All right. All right, I have to get in on that dino dance. Oh, there we go. Okay. So, a fear of trees, the words nerve and troop, and a tap dancing. We have two dinos. We're better than you. Ah, well, that's one way to look at it. 3, 2, 1, go. Wonderpig says, What? What is happening? I have 5 minutes to type out a spooky story featuring all of those prompts. Planet Cable says, or else he dies. I will die a little more inside. Yes. Ah, crumbs. Well, I think that's the last one there. I did my best. This was an absolutely awful set of prompts, and I did not finish the story. I did not finish it in time, but I'll finish this sentence, and then I'll read it out. Alright. It's not great, but perhaps I can save it with the delivery. Perhaps. Jean slowly dragged their feet through the muck. "Horrid stuff! Why did I even come this way?" they complained. They were going to be late for their first tap recital. As a vampire, they'd trained for hundreds of years to become the best person they knew at tap dancing, possibly because all their prior tutors were now deceased. And a stupid thing like the bad weather won't stop them from getting to perform. Unfortunately, the bad weather had other plans. A poorly timed lightning storm had already taken out Jean's car, and now they were forced to trudge through a graveyard. You may expect a graveyard to be a pleasing place for a vampire, but something about this one was getting on Jean's last nerve. As Jean kept stumbling through mud, they had an idea. "I'm a freaking vampire. I don't have to troop through the mud like a plebeian and get my tap shoes all muddy. I can turn into a bat." Sadly, this was a poor idea indeed. The trees in the graveyard were infested with the spirits of the dead, and none were so angry as those of Jean's former blood-sucking victims. Part-way through transformation, Jean felt part of their power stripped away. "What the heck?" they shout. "Who did that?" The dark forms of the possessed trees loom over Jean and sneer for their success, finally able to achieve vengeance. Story time. Yay, Wonder Pink says. Darth Madness. I don't think I can repeat that one. But thanks for the joke anyhow. Where was the fear of trees? There were evil possessed trees. That was basically it. Darth Madness says, "Oh man, that one was funny though." Thanks, I suppose. It was certainly something. I'm gonna save this one. A reminder, possessed by the victims. Yeah. A reminder of just what you can do in 5 minutes, and what you can't do in 5 minutes. Or perhaps what you shouldn't do in 5 minutes. Wonder Pig says that's what she said. Sure.
Okay. Scale from 1 to 10. What's your vote? How was that story? Darth Mathis says 10 out of 10 would tap again. That's what she said. Okay, never mind. I'm done now. I'm stopping. I'm nipping that in the bud. Ayo. China Cable says he said it. Wonder Pig says 10 out of 10, like he said it's tappable. This is the worst. This is the worst. Alright, I hope you enjoyed the writing spooky stories in 5 minutes segment. I'm never doing this again. I'm never doing this again. Stay tuned, all. There's one last segment for the Super Halloween special. A Minecraft event. Gonna be a good time. I am going to make an automatic pumpkin farm. And then I'm going to decorate my base in a spooky, appropriately spooky way. Based on the input of everyone in chat. You guys get a say in what my base looks like in the end. And then after that, I've got a fireworks show, and that'll be the stream. All right. Remember to refresh the page when the stream ends, because I will have to end it in order to swap over to Minecraft. Stay tuned. I'll be right back.